Terence Crawford has fought 40 times and won 31 times by knockout, and among them his bouts against Errol Spence Jr., Shawn Porter, and Ricky Burns stand out as some of his most impressive victories to date. Therefore, continue to watch this video to observe the 5 battles in which Terence Crawford stunned the world. Crawford competed in the lightweight division when he made his debut in the professional ranks in March of 2008. After waiting for close to 6 years, he finally got a crack at the championship. At the age of 26, he embarked on the journey to Glasgow, Scotland, to compete against the current WBO lightweight champion, Ricky Burns. It is still his only bout that has taken place in a country other than the United States, with scores of 116 to 112 times 2 and 117 to 111. Crawford was awarded the victory by a resounding unanimous decision. The win was the first of 17 attempts for Crawford to fight for a world championship. In 2016, Crawford had his first shot at unifying the world championship he held in several disciplines. Victor Postol shared Crawford's perfect record, going unbeaten in all 28 of his contests. Postol was knocked down twice in the 5th round, and in the 11th round, he was docked a point for punching his opponent in the back of the head. As a result of his victory, that would be the first time Crawford would hold the title of unified champion. It would also be the last time he competed in a battle that lasted the full distance. Since his battle with Postol, he has gone on to win all 10 of his subsequent bouts by knockout. Before 2017, Kostya Tszyu was the most recent fighter to hold the title of undisputed champion at 140 pounds. But his reign ended in 2003. Thus, Julius Indongo had the IBF and WBA championships, while Terence Crawford was the holder of the WBO and WBC crowns. Crawford knocked down Indongo in rounds 2 and 3 before the referee called an end to the fight in the 3rd round. This performance is considered to be one of Crawford's most overpowering victories. Because Crawford did not make his required defense against Sergey Lipinets, his time as the undisputed champion of the IBF was cut short. After that, he gave up all of his titles and moved up to welterweight, where he fought Jeff Horn and won the WBO welterweight championship by knocking Horn out. One of the fights that was most anticipated was in 2021 and ended with a technical knockout victory for Terence Crawford against Shawn Porter in the 10th round. In front of a sold-out audience of 11,568 spectators at the Mandalay Bay, Crawford successfully defended his WBO welterweight belt and extended his current run of knockout victories to 9. Crawford put an exclamation point on the fight with a crushing right hook to the temple, which was followed by a left hook to the forehead. So Porter was knocked down early in the 10th round with a left uppercut that Crawford threw. Kenny Porter, who was also Porter's trainer and father, threw in the towel and demanded that the bout be stopped by referee Celestino Ruiz. At his post-fight news conference, Porter sprang a bombshell on the media by announcing that he was retiring from boxing. Also, after the fight, Crawford said, "I know I caught him with a good uppercut, and then when I caught him with another left hook clean in his face, that he was real hurt, and that his dad did the right thing by stopping it because I was coming with a vengeance." When the fight was stopped, Crawford had a lead on all 3 of the judges' scorecards, so he was the clear winner. The unrelenting aggressiveness that Porter, 31-4-1, who has since ascended to become a real top 5 welterweight and was without a doubt Crawford's strongest opponent to date, demonstrated in the early rounds of their fight was impressive. Crawford's attempts to use switch-hitting flex early in the fight, when he changed to southpaw, did not necessarily succeed, since Porter adapted to the situation and connected often. Shawn Porter is a very polished competitor. Crawford expressed his thoughts by saying, "He was doing some things in there that made me think. There is nothing negative that I can say about him." Crawford eventually showed indications of offense in the 6th round, and he came alive in the 9th and 10th rounds, which turned out to be the last 2 rounds of Porter's career. On the other hand, Porter said, "I'm all set to hang up my boots. I was ready to make the announcement of my retirement tonight, regardless of whether we won or lost. Even if it ended up being a tie, we still had a date. They were explaining to us that we were going to have to do the task once again. I vowed to myself that I would never do it again. I'm going to make the announcement of my retirement right now." In what can only be characterized as a seismic shock in the world of boxing, Terence "Bud" Crawford accomplished what seemed to be the impossible by winning a dramatic clash against the unbeaten Errol Spence Jr. In addition, fans were very interested in the result of the fight since it was a matchup between 2 of the sport's most dominating welterweights, and it had been highly anticipated for a long time. On the other hand, very few people were able to accurately foresee how this epic fight would play out within the squared circle. Both Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. entered the bout with illustrious, perfect records that had firmly established them as two of the most dominant players in the sport in the contemporary era. Crawford enjoyed an excellent professional record of 39 victories and 0 defeats because of his elusive footwork, pinpoint striking, and incredible boxing IQ. On the other side, Spence, who was unbeaten with a record of 28 wins and no losses, was well known for his enormous power and aggressive fighting style. This matchup between two undefeated competitors had all the makings of a bout that would go down in history. Fans of boxing, both serious and casual, could be seen tuning in from all around the globe to watch the highly awaited fight, which took place in a venue that was completely sold out. From the moment the bell rang, it was clear that both boxers were intent on making a statement and displaying their abilities with each and every move and blow. Crawford's ring knowledge became more apparent as the fight went on, as he deftly countered Spence's aggressive assaults with well-timed punches and hooks. Spence was forced to stay on his toes and was unable to get into a consistent rhythm because of Crawford's ability to adjust stances and modify his approach dependent on the movements of his opponent. Spence, to his credit, exhibited the power and persistence that have become his trademarks. He landed a couple of powerful shots that could have put Crawford's perfect record in jeopardy, but Crawford's nimble defense and fast reactions helped him to avoid many of Spence's strong blows, which frustrated the younger opponent. As the bout neared its halfway point, it was clear that Crawford's dexterity and ring generalship were progressively gaining an advantage over their opponent. He was able to successfully manage the tempo of the fight by making Spence's big punches miss, while simultaneously landing his own clean blows. Crawford's level of fitness and stamina proved to be a deciding factor in the final rounds. He proceeded to set the tempo, striking perfect combinations that noticeably damaged Spence's face. Spence was obviously shaken. Despite Spence's heroic attempts, it's impossible to deny that the cumulative impact of Crawford's strokes was becoming successful. At the start of the 9th round, the level of anxiety in the stadium reached its highest point. Crawford picked up where he left off and began to land even more bombs when referee Doc had seen enough and stepped in for a stoppage. Terence Crawford emerged triumphant, putting an end to the naysayers and delivering Errol Spence Jr. his first loss in his professional career. Following the conclusion of the battle, there was a mutual display of respect and appreciation between the two warriors. Crawford thanked Spence for giving him the chance to demonstrate his ability on such a large platform, and he lauded Spence for the tenacity he had shown during the fight. Terence Crawford's win against the previously unbeaten Errol Spence Jr. cemented his position as one of the most accomplished fighters in the history of boxing, and it will go down as one of the most iconic fights in the sport's more recent bouts as well. The sweet science of boxing places a premium on technique, strategy, and the capacity to react to changing circumstances, as seen by his brilliant performance. Fans are anxiously anticipating what the future holds for both boxers and who will come up next to challenge Terence Crawford's reign as the welterweight king as the sport continues to develop. Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below on whether or not you believe that Terence Crawford could be the face of boxing, and whether or not you believe that his battle with Errol Spence Jr. was the defining moment that made him the top fighter in the world. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.